Welcome to ILTV's Israel Weekly. Our main topics today: Israel's Operation Northern Shield targets Hezbollah terror tunnels, and the UN General Assembly fails to pass a resolution condemning Hamas. I'm Lidar Gervais-Lazi, and joining me in the studio to discuss are Gush Shalom spokesperson Adam Keller, Major General in the Reserves Gershon Cohen, Petach Tikva Council member Hanoch Milwitsky, and Hebrew University of Jerusalem professor Moshe Amirav. This past week, the IDF began Operation Northern Shield along its border with Lebanon to destroy terror tunnels built by Iranian proxy group Hezbollah. So far, the IDF has uncovered 3 terror tunnels, but has said the operation will take several more weeks' time to complete, indicating there may be more tunnels to uncover and destroy. For now, the calm is holding along the border despite a high state of alert. Hezbollah has said that it is monitoring the situation closely, though it seems unlikely that they will start hostilities so long as the operation remains on the Israeli side of the border.
These cross-border terror tunnels were built by Hezbollah with direct support and funding from Iran. They were built with one purpose in mind: to attack and murder innocent Israeli men, women, and children. This is a grave violation of Israel's sovereignty and a gross violation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701. It is an unacceptable act of wanton aggression.
אנחנו כרגע פועלים בשטחנו, והעובדה הזאת מאפשרת לנו מרחב פעולה רחב מצד אחד. מצד שני צריך לזכור, חיזבאללה מפר את החלטה 1701 באופן ברור, הוא חופר מכפר קילה לשטח ישראל. הוא בונה תשתיות צבאיות בתוך הכפרים השיעים מדרום לליטני. הוא מחזיק פה ארגון סביבתי שבעצם מהווה ארגון של תצפיות של ארגון חיזבאללה. הוא מוכיח לכולם שצבא לבנון, ממשלת לבנון, לא שולטים בשטח, מי ששולט זה ארגון הטרור חיזבאללה.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Israel has known about these terror tunnels for years. So why is it only destroying them now? Let's start with you.
The technical capabilities, due to a great innovation and great breaking through in technological capabilities, just made it possible. The fact that they are doing it was just very, very clear, and it was everyone could just imagine why they are doing that, because Hezbollah just trying to keep permanent friction with Israel, and they are clever enough to always find bypasses to do something beyond the constraints. And this is a kind of a new threat that Israeli government, and not only Israeli government, including the chief of staff, in the way we are managing that, trying to solve it in the appropriate manner. What it is, it means that we must understand the whole phenomena, not only just by contemplating to the physical event. We must take the context. And the context is not just about the threat. Of course it is a threat. The context is about the questions that Prime Minister emphasized. It means, first, how Israel could trust and be supported by UN resolution like in 1701, and immediately everyone can understand what will be the future for Israel if we will accept withdrawal from Judea and Samaria. It means that Metula will bring the same future to Petach Tikva, to Rosh Ha'ain, Kfar Saba. It means by no means we can afford another withdrawal.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree with this assessment?
I don't know if it indicates anything at all about our ability for a further withdrawal or not. I also don't think we can honestly rely on any other nation to do anything for us. Eventually, if we look at everything that's been happening, not only the past decade, the past decades, I don't know, the 5,000 years that the Jewish people has been around, nobody but us seems to get it. And we need to ask ourselves why. Why is it that although it seems to us we are perfectly right and perfectly within our borders and within our self-capabilities and right to defend ourselves and so on, why is it that there is such a big hostility, a big lack of understanding about our situation here. It's not about this tunnel here or, I don't know, a resolution is there. There's something much more deeper, I think, that lies behind that of why they cannot accept what we're doing.
Now, Hezbollah, with the backing of Iran, has since the last Lebanon war built up an immense arsenal. What can we expect should there eventually be another conflict, and what is the likelihood of such a scenario?
We definitely can expect another conflict. We are not in a path right now to peace with any of the main actors. Now, we have many actors here in the Middle East, and you just mentioned Iran, which is definitely an actor here. I don't see how we get soon to some agreement with Iran. But we can try to do our best, I'm talking now as an Israeli, to try to pacify the situation whatever we can do it. I would like to mention it to those who don't know. I mean, when we speak about Hezbollah, it's not Lebanon. When we speak about Gaza, it's not the Palestinian people. I mean, all these are minorities, extreme minorities.
I'm not accepting.
Yeah, of course. That's my opinion, not yours. So I'm talking about trying, as Israeli, we have to try and find the modus vivendi with the powers. And the powers is starting with the United States, which is easy, and going through the big players. And the big players is the Palestinian Authority here and the government of Lebanon. And they are to be in charge and also responsible to whatever is happening in their area. Not mentioning other bodies like the UN. But right now, it's a very, very complicated picture. Most of the viewers here, it's difficult for them to understand that it is a very difficult area here. It's not like black and white. It's not so simple. And in this very tangible situation, we have to deal with those who can deliver. And I mentioned two, which is the Palestinian Authority and the Lebanese government.
You honestly think they're in charge? If they are in charge, why are they letting these terror organizations act within their boundaries?
They don't consider
and
it
if
a
they're
terrorist
not,
organization.
so they're not. But you think they can honestly deliver? Did they ever deliver?
I definitely think so.
They don't consider it a terrorist.
Let's hear from that. Yes, Adam.
Well, first of all, I would like to mention that it is what we heard Netanyahu say, that these tunnels are a violation of the sovereignty of Israel, and they are a violation of UN Resolution 701. That is absolutely true. At the same time, you should remember that Israel is already for at least 30 years, I think more than that, in the habit of regularly violating the sovereignty of Lebanon, of letting Israeli airplanes regularly fly over Lebanon, including the Lebanese capital. That is, by the way, also a clear violation of UN Resolution 1701. So it is not such a clear black and white. I'd like also to mention that Hezbollah is, to a big degree, a creation of State of Israel. If the State of Israel had not, in 1982, had the brilliant idea of then the Defense Minister Sharon to invade Lebanon in order to get rid of the PLO, there would never have been such an organization as Hezbollah, and the Lebanese Shiites would never have become sworn enemies of Israel. They were not until 1982. So I think that the basic problem was and remains the Palestinian problem. And why is the world so much not understanding that we are right? I think because we are not so completely right.
All right, let's move on to our second topic. A U.S.-sponsored resolution condemning Islamic terror group Hamas for launching rockets into Israel last month failed to pass in the 193-member UN General Assembly. Although 87 countries voted in favor and 57 against, with 33 abstentions, the resolution failed to pass under the two-thirds majority rule. This marks the first time that the Hamas terror organization in Gaza has been targeted by name for condemnation by the Assembly. The failure of the resolution is a blow to the Trump and Netanyahu administrations, while Hamas and the Palestinian Authority welcome the outcome, Hamas calling it a great triumph and reiterating its right to continue its resistance against Israel.
Before the General Assembly can credibly advocate compromise and reconciliation between the Palestinians and Israel, it must be on record unambiguously and unconditionally condemning Hamas terrorism.
Today, we achieved a plurality. That plurality would have been a majority if the vote had not been hijacked by a political move of procedure. But in one strong, courageous voice, we have brought Hamas to justice. For those member states that rejected this resolution, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Wait when you will have to deal with terrorism in your own countries. Your silence in the face of evil reveals your true colors. It tells us what side you are really on, a side that does not care for the lives of innocent Israelis and innocent Palestinians who have fallen victim to the terrorists of Hamas.
So, U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley and Israeli Ambassador to the UN Danny Danon spinning this to say, well, it's a win because we did get a majority of votes, but not two-thirds majority. Do you agree? Is this a win for Israel or is this a humiliating loss?
I think we are playing with the words, and it's really not a win or a loss. We're not losing there. What happens, what has to be, I would say, the area in which we will have our targets and also our victories is here at home. If we can reach agreement, the UN and the whole world will applaud and agree to what we will agree. So the area is here. It's not in the UN. Mm-hmm. And this comes to what is it really that we can reach? What kind of agreement can we reach? And there is no one in Israel who is against the agreement. Everybody is for peace. Even the right wing, super right wing, they would like to have peace in this country. Mm-hmm. We are waiting for this peace for 2,000 years. But the question, of course, is two questions. One is, can we believe in the peace we have with the Arabs or the Palestinians? And my answer is always yes, because we have peace with two countries in this area. People forget it. Even Israelis forget it, that we have peace with Jordan, which is the main border of Israel, strategically, and we have peace with Egypt, which is the biggest Arab country. So maybe, in principle, we can have peace with the Palestinians. So that's why I'm optimistic. Maybe the last one who remained in Israel, who say, yes, we can have peace with the Palestinians, with the PLO. I will say even more than that, even with the Hamas and the Hezbollah. I'm not going to give a lecture here about it, but I just want to state my optimism about the abilities to have peace in our generations for my children.
Okay, so overly optimistic, but is there even a partner for peace? I mean, even the Palestinian Authority welcomed this decision.
Of course they did. And again, no surprise there, but I completely agree with my friend here. The arena is not the United Nations. The arena is right here at home, but I don't think we need to bother ourselves so much right now with making peace with our neighbors as long as we don't have peace within us. And what's been happening here in our country, the diversity, the lack of mutual solidarity, mutual guarantee that has been growing within us makes it impossible to conduct any peace process with any other nation or people as long as we don't get our nation together to get back to the foundaries, to our foundations of what brought us here in the first place, of what we're meant to be, of what we're meant to be towards the world. We're not just like any other people. We're different. And we cannot conduct ourselves like all the others. We need to, there's a higher standard from us, even from the United Nations, even from our friend, the United States, from everybody. They conduct us to higher standards. We need to understand that, and we need to act to first mend the unbelievable tear that the past, 10, 15 years, even more, made in our society. And when that happens, we can go out and seek peace with our neighbors, not before.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Actually, it is true. But then we can ask what is peace, and we can ask where we can find a nation and country that for peace demanded to divide the capital, to give back very, very important lands, and I don't think there is a future for Israel to live in the 67 border. No way. Mm-hmm. By all means, it is too narrow and unprotectable. Therefore, actually, what there is, Hamas is already a state, de facto, in Gaza, and I like that. And we must treat them as a state, in all considerations. If they want to fight, we will go ahead to fight. If they want to be in stability, we can give help. About the other, already as it was already given by Rabin, they had, and they have now, Zone A and B. They can leave them in their own authority, and no way to give another land to the Palestinians. And by that, we are already living in coexistence. And the relationship in Jerusalem is a kind of great example for coexistence between Israelis and Arabs. And I am not at all thinking that we must divide the land here and there. I can live with Arabs. I have no problem. With a lot of Arabs, I have better relationships than with secular Jews in Tel Aviv.
Okay. Adam, yes.
Yes. Well, I completely disagree, of course, with this way of thinking. Palestinians are not going to be content with just living in a few small enclaves, in which also the Israeli army goes in every night and arrests people whoever they want. Mm-hmm. These enclaves are very much reminder of what was called in South Africa Bantustans, and we know how it ended in South Africa. And you should be aware that the alternative to giving up this territory, which you call Judea and Samaria, and which usually the world calls the West Bank, is to give the people who live there Israeli citizenship and the right to vote in Knesset elections. That is what happened in South Africa when South Africa tried this kind of solution. If you prefer that, it is possible. I think
I prefer that than dividing the land.
Well, let's say if you prefer to have a Knesset in which there would be about 50% Jewish Knesset members, 50% Arab Knesset members, give or take a few, then it is quite possible, quite open, and if you just wait a few years, that's what's going to happen. I think many people in Israel would prefer to have two states, Israel and Palestine, living in peace with each other. But if you prefer to have one state from between the Jordan and Mediterranean, which will be then, by definition, the nation state of both the Israelis and the Palestinians. If you have 50% Arab citizens, Arab Palestinian citizens, then it will be.
Ben-Gurion emphasized that even in the 1947 UN resolution, we was expected to live with almost 50% Arabs. And it was declared as a Jewish state, and it will be a Jewish state.
You can declare whatever you want.
We're almost out of time, so I just want to let Professor Almirav say one final comment.
Yeah, I think that we are talking and arguing between ourselves. And we have the optimists, which is a very, very tiny camp in Israel. And we have the pessimists, as they call themselves, the realists. They know the Arabs. They know the Palestinians. So it's very difficult in this kind of atmosphere to say something that makes sense. I mean, you have to speak with your heart. So most Israelis, when they argue with their heart. And for me, as a professor in the university, when I have to speak with my students, I can't speak with their emotions. I'm trying to give them especially a way to look at the situation. One way to look at the situation is to look backward and see where we failed. Mm-hmm. There will be those who say, we never failed. It's the Palestinians, it's the Arabs, it's the Egyptians who failed. We failed. And we have to not to ignore our failures. So I'm not going to give you now a lecture about why we failed. And I can mention it. I mention it in some of my books, that we failed to have peace with the Arabs, with the Palestinians, even with Egypt. Prime Minister, we have a lady which was the Prime Minister, and she was a disaster. Because of her, I had to fight in the Yom Kippur War.
This is a kind of
this is an analysis.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all the time we have
and
today.
then we have,
the
Prime Minister, his name is Menachem Begin. Everybody was sure that if I supported him, when he will come to power, we will have a world war here. He brought peace with Egypt on the same terms that Golda Meir said no.
No, because
this is history.
Okay, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today.
I'm not arguing here.
No, because he demanded before 73 to divide Jerusalem and to give back the Golan Heights, and Begin didn't give that.
So we made only peace with Egypt. Instead of having peace with the whole Arab world, we have only peace with Egypt and no with others.
Gentlemen,
it's important
thank you.
Just one sentence. It's important to, especially the viewers who are not Israelis, to know that we have peace already with two Arab countries. Actually, the main Arab country, Egypt. It's very important to mention it because everybody thinks that we are like fighting with the whole Arab world. It's not right.
No, I can just tell you, I was a division commander responsible to uproot the Jews from Gaza. And speaking about the Jewish people, I'll do my best that nobody, even one Jew, will never be uprooted again. And I'll struggle for that in all my life.
No need to uproot
Adam,
them.
thank you.
Could
That's
just
all the time we have. So that's all the time we
there.
have today for ILTV's Israel Weekly. I'd like to thank our guests, Adam Keller, Major General in Reserves Gershon Akon, Advocate Hanoch Milwitsky, and Professor Moshe Amirav. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Israel English News, on Twitter at ILTV News, and on our website at iltv.tv. I'm Lidar Gervais-Lazi. Thanks for watching.